you for the rest of your life. And we're watching there, you can see, go early, because otherwise you won't be able to get to the front, or take your own ladder, pack it in the car and drive it, as some people I met a couple at the start from Belgium who drove down with it. And this is it now. He'll be able to feel really that this is a victory for him, but it's a victory for all those watching. I think Guillaume, if you want to stay with us for a little bit longer, you can. But I know that you have other commitments. But
no, I don't.
So Francois here, and you can see he's now, however much you try and prepare yourself for that, the tears are welling up.
It's very much against human nature to go away like that for 2 months, and it's that's what makes such a strange coming back for them. It's probably very tough. We saw that the sailors, when they go for the Vendée Globe, when they come back, often they have a tough comeback.
We just had some thanks from Conrad Humphreys, who's listening to us, 7th in the 2004-5 race. You've been involved in so many boats, including my boat, Hello Moto, in 2004.
I have very good memories.
And we have it's such a part of the race, that long, the sense of history and the line that skippers pass on to each other. And I'm sure Francois will be passing on these experiences, even of this moment, as Michel Desjoyeaux will have probably told him what it's like to come into the canal and just to enjoy it and soak it in. He said that François Gabart is a sponge, and I suspect he's soaking in all of these amazing feelings. He holds all the records now for the Vendée, nearly. Left his mark across the race. Extraordinary speeds on a boat that you designed, Guillaume. It must be emotional for you too.
Well, they actually, we designed with VPLP those boats, and they go faster than our prediction now. So we've got probably to review our models. It's
how much faster, Guillaume?
One day
faster.
1 day faster. Yeah.
How's that possible?
Oh, it's because we don't perfectly model the fact that the boat is.
And that's Michel Desjoyeaux, I think, is it?
It is.
There we go. Mentor and the man. So Michel Desjoyeaux there, the winner of the only time to have won it twice. May have been hugging the next person to win it twice. Let's see.
That's a nice story, because he did transmit a lot of his knowledge to François, and that's how he could convince his sponsor as well to come and invest so much money into that boat. So he had the caution. What do you say? He had the insurance of Michel Desjoyeaux to do well.
Yeah. And here we go. We can see the signs out there. This is a moment that will live with him forever. Guillaume Verdier, thank you very much. You're leaving us now, but thank you and congratulations to you too. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks a lot.
And thank you for your emergency translation. Amazing.
No, I'm sorry, it's not very good.
No, it was perfect. It was better than mine was going to be.
Guillaume Verdier, of course, trained in Southampton. That's where he gets his English from.
Ah, okay. Like Tanguy, like Tanguy Delamotte.
Like quite a number of them actually. Trained as naval architects in.
Here we go. He's been handed the flares. These will be the iconic pictures from this race.
One hopes. The bucket of water.
They're still protecting the boat. They want Massif to be perfect when she comes in.
He's only got one.
Oh, only one flare. Someone give him another flare, but here we go.
Number one.
Number one, exactly. There's a little bit of wear on those sails we can see, Andy, isn't there?
Yeah, of course.
They've been around the world.
But he has looked so cool, calm and collected all the way in. He looks like he's just been out for a training day at Port La Forêt. No immediate signs of wear and tear on the skipper, is there?
Here he is, the youngest man ever to win the Vendée Globe, and
at the first attempt.
At the first attempt, and he may be changed inside, but he still looks very boyish, doesn't he, Andy? I mean, he
does compared to me and you.
And it was interesting watching Michel Desjoyeaux hug him there. And
it was a nice moment, because Mich just wanted to pay tribute to him, and he only stayed for a matter of seconds, gave him a big hug and said well done, and was straight off the bow and left him to enjoy the time. He knows what it's like coming down this canal. He's done it twice, to massive welcomes on both occasions, and really this is about François. This is about his achievement. It's a team effort, but this is the time that François gets the applaud. And
we really are potentially looking at the beginning of a new legend here. I mean, he's right at the beginning of his sailing career. If he carries on, and we suspect that there's nothing to suggest he won't. You know, he will.
Completely. I mean, that is the question is kind of where he goes from here, but it's also interesting that point that Guillaume Verdi was making, that he's had the insurance of Mich in the background, and you know, it's a nice position to be in, but you know, the risks for Mich knows the risks involved with this sport, and it could there's a very good chance he might not have made it. So that's probably as much what that thanks was, and congratulations, because it's a big project for Mich and his company.
And he's repaid the faith. Mich obviously saw a huge amount in him, something in him to give him his full backing. I'm sure there have been others along the way that would have loved to have had the similar support from Mich Des.
Yeah, it is the first time we've seen that in the successfully transmitted from a race team, as it were. Mich's Mere Agité, his company, have managed the project, and it's the first time we've seen him bring on another party, another skipper.
And I think it's probably an essential part of this race. It's happened in different ways, hasn't it? Maybe not quite so obviously and quite so successfully, though. But
equally, it's a new generation coming through for the future of the. You would like to think for the future of the Amoca class and for the Vendée Globe, and you know, therein lies another question: where's the next François Gabart, or where is an equal that would be ready to take him on in 4 years' time?
Well, we suspect he will inspire people to dream even harder now. I mean,
but he has set the bar pretty high.
So I think what we've also seen from this race is that where it currently is, you do need a fantastic team behind you. François on an older generation boat, no doubt would have sailed an excellent race, but he wouldn't have won it. And Armel Lecléache is only 5 hours behind him. This isn't a big jump in speed by just one person. This is a jump in technology we're witnessing, and VPLP have said that with autopilots. They're not claiming all the credit for themselves by any means. I mean, François has sailed a day faster than even the designers of the boat thought, but Armel will be similarly quick. It's very much an evolution we're seeing of the sport here, and as Andy says, where does it go next? You need to have the next François Gabart will need to be lucky and find the backing and have the sponsor in order to be able to compete at this level.
And I suppose that if we were already asking the questions about the integrity of the boats, they've gone so light, and we know that there were structural problems with some of these boats in the previous transatlantic races and things like that, and they have been reinforced, or some of them have been substantially reinforced in the last months, or the 8 months before the start of the Vendée. And so I was also speaking to Guillaume earlier on, just before he came on live, and just asking him how he felt about the criticism or the suggestions that his boats might be too light, or the VPLP Verdi boats might be too light to finish. And his point is that yes, there wasn't any big storms, but the stress and the strain of going that much faster is much more than going through a 50-60 knot storm. Anyway, there is François Gabart coming into the main body of the Kirk, if you like, the real massive population as they come through the channel into the towards the entrance to the marina, and this is where most of the population are, just in these corners.
And they've been there for hours now. François Gabart slowed down slightly, but as he came towards the line, in order to be able to we think, in order to be able to just progress straight through from the finish line down the canal, and perfect timing. He didn't have to break stride at all, and he's able to. He's able just to drink this in now. He is.
He's just on that verge of emotions, isn't he? He's visibly, he's smiling, he's drinking it in, but I think that it wouldn't take much for him to well up, would it, Matt?
I think we already saw that trembling bottom lip as he came
there he goes again. He's almost there as he is there, isn't he? It's too much.
I think it's probably too much for any one person to take in after 78 days alone at sea. Pushing yourself that hard, sleeping in small snatches at points for 20 minutes at a time when things are tough. Worn beyond his limits, as he said. You push yourself to limits that you didn't know were there.
And you know, it is often one of the things that some skippers going to cross that finish line, and the one thing they want to do before they even come into the canal is grab 15 minutes, half an hour of sleep. And obviously sometimes the tides are such that you have to wait out there for several hours, but as you say, he's timed it beautifully, as the whole program has been. But this is a truly unique Vendée Globe spectacle.
I think each finish is special, and those that go to them, we can see them hanging off balconies and ladders and off each other. But there is something, I think, particularly special about this one, because he is so young, and because it was not so unexpected, because for the last few weeks we've known that he's the man to beat, but certainly over the course of the race it's been a surprise. We have to say it. Almost no one at the start called François Gabart as the winner, apart from Michel Desjoyeaux.
Apart from Mich, le professeur.
And even he will have known how tough it was going to be. It was. François said, I'm not going to say I can win it. He said I have a chance, but I'm not there. I don't think I'm going to win it. And he was being realistic. He did have a chance. He had a very well-funded campaign. He knew what he was capable of. He'd won the B2B, which was a single-handed race back from Costa Rica in 2011. They learnt a huge amount in 2011 on this extraordinary learning curve. There's Henriette, his wife, and he'll soon have Hugo, his 11-month son, in his arms. She must be feeling very proud now, and equally bemused after 78 days of talking occasionally to François on the satellite phone and hoping he gets back safely, and now to see this.
And for her, there is a simple daily routine that you have to get through, knowing that your loved one is at sea and in danger. And with a little 11-month-old, that emotion is heightened every day.
And of course, no one forces them to go, so we have to be careful not to overstress this. But I asked François why he went before the start. He didn't know why. He just knew that he had to go. He wanted to go. It was what he'd dreamt about doing. But there isn't a simple why, is there, often, to what drives people out to this? The glib answer, the mountaineering answer, the answer of those that climb Everest is because it's there. But actually, it runs much deeper than that. It's probably about something that he's just said, challenging yourself to go further than you thought possible.
Indeed. I mean, I just read a fantastic quote from Loic Perron, who talks about this is the way he chooses to suffer. And so when things go wrong, then don't have any sympathy for him. And that's the very, very kind of opposite of this emotion at the moment, of course, but that's what Loic said when his mask came down in the last race. He was over it in minutes, because, as he said, this is the way he chooses to suffer. So that's the life they choose, that's the sport they choose, and the stakes are extremely high, and when things go wrong, then you can't afford to dwell on it. And we've seen that so often through this the whole history of the Vendée Globe. If you dwell on it, you're done for.
Mike Golding said something which I think echoes through the history of these great challenges, which was that
for him, it's an addiction. I think he just has to keep coming back.
I think that's right. He talked about it's part of it is this arrival back into the canal of this. It draws him.
It's the release and it's the validation in both ways, isn't it?
He talks about completing the circle, the need to complete the circle. We're getting into Lord of the Rings territory there, but there is something in it. There is
he said that the other day when he has effectively completed his circle. He has crossed his outward track, and we speak to Mike regularly, and he's struggling at the moment because he's not achieved what he set out to achieve. But equally, it's a fantastic way to finish a career and to be finishing a race. There are so many that haven't, and he's tasted defeat in the race before.
But I think if you make it back, it's defeat is the wrong word, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And there will be a huge part of that. That's even for Francois here. He's made it back. He's completed the circle. The records, the victory are enormous. He's a professional. He did say before, I'm a sportsman. I'm very competitive. I want to win. But there's also, I think, just alongside that or underneath that, a more visceral, particularly when you hug your wife on the way. So soon after crossing the line of I've made it back, I'm here in one piece. And just to go back to Mike, he was talking also about that he can't understand why people ask the question why. He felt that if you can't understand the need to push yourself like this, to go beyond, then he doesn't understand that person. But he would ask, why are you asking me that question?
Completely, but I mean, I suppose that is the nature of extreme sport. It's like ski jumping or downhill racing. You still ask the question why you do it, and there is all these different aspects that challenge the skipper to the limit.
George Mallory, the English climber who sadly died climbing Everest in his third and fatal attempt in 1924, there's a quote that I keep on going back to about, he was asked why, and he's famous for being the first person to answer, or recorded person, because it's there, about Everest. But actually he said much more, and there wasn't that just sort of stiff upper Anglo-Saxon lip. He said, if you can't understand that there is something in a man which responds to the challenge of this mountain and goes out to meet it, that the struggle is the struggle of life itself, upward and forever upward, then you won't see why we go. What we get from this adventure is just sheer joy, and joy is, after all, the end of life. We do not live and eat and make money. We eat and make money to be able to enjoy life. That is what life means and what life is for. And I think in the Vendée Globe and in solo sailing in France, that is understood more deeply than almost anywhere in the world.
It's a spiritual moment, really, when they come in just now. The outpouring of respect from these tens of thousands of people. It's not just, as we said, it's not just about the sport, it's not just about winning. It's about so many other different facets.
I met a lady at the start who'd been to, who lives in the Vendée, who lives in Les Sables d'Olonne. We could hear that noise now, and she called it for François Gabart. She let me climb her ladder. And I said, who's your favourite? She said, François Gabart.
And you didn't listen to her?
And I didn't listen to her. You're not allowed to bet in France anyway on races like this, so I didn't lose any money. But just some punditry pride.
Well, you're talking to the man who wrote that there'd be no record set today. And François Gabart went out and did 545 miles straight away. So thanks, François. It's incredible, isn't it? Because I mean, even the whole kind of geography of it, the topography, if you like, of it just couldn't be set up better, could it? You know, to actually be able to come down a canal with tens of thousands of people either side of you, only meters away. It's incredible, isn't it?
It makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up standing in that canal. The start was incredible, and anyone out there at the finish they'll all remember being there. This is something that the whole town shares, and all the people that come to visit will take away with them. It's an extraordinary feeling. It's part sporting event. It's like going to a cauldron in a cauldron of a stadium, but also like some great festival in the street as well, like some carnival. If you've got a bucket list, this should be on it. Not necessarily winning it, of course.
No, of course not. I mean, I think that's setting the bar a bit high straight off. But coming to a start or a finish of Vendée Globe is actually relatively simple. Now we've got the two flares.
Here we go.
The full stereo version. We hope. Come on, boys.
This is practically, the flares are practically the only thing that have gone wrong in the whole race. But he's ended up #1 twice. But
clearly Mich has had nothing to do with the flares.
It's practically the only foot wrong that the shore crew have made as well. He's joined on board there. I think on the helm I saw Sebastian Gladue. He's the boat captain, the number 2 skipper, as the French tend to call him, and Antoine Gauthier is on there, I think I saw as well, technical guy, and Clément Rivet, the electrics, Jimmy Lebeau, who looks after all the safety on board, and I think Jean-Paul Roux is on there as well as obviously Henriette's wife, and Michel Desjoyeaux, and Dominique, Francois's father, is there too. I think it's time for another one, and they're coming in now
just into the entrance of the marina now.
Into the entrance of the marina, he'll moor up at the pontoon, and then there'll be another step change in the emotion, because he'll be surrounded by bodyguards, I imagine, and hustled up a very packed pontoon at some point. People touching him. It'll be strange and potentially uncomfortable to suddenly have that proximity. I mean, even at the moment he can soak it in, and then it will be right upon him now.
That's right. I think that usually the first people he meets will be Bruno Retailleau, the president of the Vendée, and Denis Haro, the race director, and some representatives of the race's major sponsors, and they have the first words, and then it's straight into the first words with the media.
We may get some words in English from him, but his English has actually seemed to improve during the race, so everything was getting better.
I think he's been learning from us, hasn't he?
I'm not sure I've got anything to teach him, but he certainly was communicating on all platforms.
He's been very, very good from that respect, hasn't he? He's never had a down moment or a moment when he's not wanted to communicate. And he shared the race, with the wider public with great enthusiasm.
There'll be many questions. This broken list will be one of the things people want to get their hands on, but certainly for the moment, it'll just be getting some expressions of how he's feeling. We already heard a little bit live there exclusively earlier on Vendée Globe TV, just that he pushed himself further than to new limits, further than he'd gone before, but he did say it's been incredibly hard. Not being able to sleep, not being able to rest, and I think that's some indication that Andy, that saying that I never had time to rest, they may not be taking 110 days to go round, but they're packing in a lot into 78 days. I mean, it's the same distance, and there's no rest on these boats. There's no rest when the competition is so hot.
That's right. I mean, I think we've seen different points when they've really been very disciplined to rest and make sure that they have got themselves recharged and restored for key stages of the race, like coming into Cape Horn, and when there's big weather systems ahead, or big strategic or tactical options coming up. That's the point that they really have to make sure that they stock up on the sleep. But it's absolutely relentless, and it's the one thing I think that probably more than Armel that Francois has been quite open about. He certainly loved every moment of it that we've shared with him, but it's the eye-opener for him, he keeps saying, has been just how intense it's been, and just how little opportunity there has been to rest.
So just to recap, we're looking at François Gabart. He's the youngest ever winner of the Vendée Globe.
Starting to look a bit tired now.
78 days at sea with an average of about 4 to 5 hours sleep over the course of each night. You'd be tired, I think.
I would. I'm tired enough.
Although it's interesting talking to Guillaume there. You know, there are lots of people who've been sleeping with the phone next to them.
We all do.
Living parts of this race. Waiting for calls, and it was interesting that Guillaume had asked some of the sailors to call him when, you know, not just when there was a problem, because otherwise it becomes quite depressing.
Completely. It's interesting again that Loic Perron is one of the few now of the kind of older school who feels that being called on the boat is an imposition.
Yeah, Michel Desjoyeaux didn't like to speak to people on the boat. It's interesting that, you know, that obviously François has taken, as you said, bits of what he needs from different skippers. He's had a very different time on the water. Vincent Rieu at the beginning of this race was talking about how Michel Desjoyeaux didn't really talk to people on the water. It was part of the psychology. He'd stay a man apart. Even people he was very friendly with, he tended to not communicate on the water. And François was communicating with Armel actually for nearly all of the Southern Ocean, but he did reveal just recently, and in quite neutral tones, so not that there was any kind of problem, but obviously the race was coming to a head as they went around Cape Horn, and they hadn't spoken since Cape Horn, and obviously we found out that Armel had a little problem there, and maybe at that point that's where Armel started to feel like the balance of the race was swinging against him. But on the whole, they're all very close. They'll be sailing. They'll carry on sailing together at Port de Forêt after this. There is a huge sense of camaraderie amongst the fleet. It may be changing as teams get more professional and bigger, and even though they're like families, you know, the atmosphere may be changing, but the essence of it won't.
No, of course not. And it is a community there. You know, you cannot step away from a community like that. Whether you've won or done badly, they all support each other. They all understand the nature of the sport. They understand winning. They understand the different problems that they all encounter on the way around the course. And so there's a great solidarity within that community after the race, I'm quite sure.
And I'm sure François will say, you know, I had my fair share of luck, but really, when you start looking at this campaign, and perhaps because of Michel Desjoyeaux' involvement, you don't win. You win the Vendée Globe with luck, but not because of luck.
Absolutely.
Michel Desjoyeaux didn't win 2 Vendée Globes by chance, and people have been unlucky on this Vendée Globe, and you can be unlucky. You can hit, as Vincent Rieu did, hit a harbour buoy, but in the scheme of things, it's not luck when you win a Vendée Globe.
Absolutely, it's the converse, isn't it? As you say, it's you can lose the Vendée Globe by bad luck. You don't win it by good luck.
And here we are looking down at the harbour at the Sables here.
It's nice to see the geography and the layout, actually. You forget how complicated it is. Could that be his mum and dad, perhaps?
I think you might be right. I think that might be Catherine and Dominique, and François grew up in, not so far from here, in the Charente region, but he talks about going to sea at 7 and almost spending, living on a boat for a time with family, and we see a very common thread in a lot of these solo sailor stories. They start on the water very young. Sam Davis learned to walk on water, famously.
Walk on water.
Well, she was on the boat before she could walk, and you know, for Francois, it might have been slightly later in his case, but he then spent a lot of time on the water with the family, and grew to love it through their experiences of it, and that's a very common story, I think, for these sailors.
Certainly common between Armel and François. I think that both their fathers are dentists, aren't they? Certainly, I know that François, Armel's dad is. But Armel grew up much the same kind of way, early family sailing holidays in the Channel Islands, and this is where it can lead to.
And he was, you know,
François followed a fairly standard career path, if you like, from optimists into 420s, 470s, or 420s, and then into tornadoes.
He was the Moth champion as France, wasn't he, as well? You know, it's not come from nowhere. He's one of those sportsmen in his field who was a young champion all the way, but it's an incredibly intense competition through each part of the fleet, and there's no guarantee that a young optimist is going to go on and achieve the things that François has.
But this is the point, that these young optimist sailors, this is the point that their dreams are seeded, if you like. They'll look at this and think, well, there François Gabart started out in an optimist. Why can't I do that in 15 years' time?
We've just had another message from Conrad Humphreys, and just as part of that exclusive club finishing here, we're watching François hugging those nearest and dearest, and we can see Denis Hérault as
the back of his head.
The back of Denis Hérault's head, the race director. There's a remarkable inner peace that comes from completing the Vendée Globe. It puts everything else into perspective, more so than any other race, and that's Conrad Humphreys. He finished 7th in the 2004-05 race on Hello Moto, and he, in common with many of the sailors who've completed the race, well, many of the few who've completed the race, take away something extraordinary from having completed that circle.
Champagne mum.
La première impression, c'est que...
As Jeroboam of Mum, as is customary.
C'est pas une impression, c'est... Je dis ça, je dis rien,
it's barely breathing room only on the pontoon. It'll be... you just don't want to get knocked off it as people try and evade the champagne here. It's,
oops, we're getting wet.
A little bit for Massif. What a moment.
I bet that tastes sweet.
Many come, but few taste that. So just to recap, François Gabart on Massif finished at 3:18 and 40 seconds French time today.
C'est ce que je viens de dire, les 30...
We're struggling with the sound there.
A little bit. I think he's just saying he's forgotten what it's like to be here. It's cool. We've got that bit.
Ouais, je sais pas comment on peut définir comme beaucoup, mais en termes d'émotion, il y a tout ce que je peux pas faire plus là. Le maximum là. C'est quoi la recette?
I think he's saying he's pushed himself, definitely pushed himself to the maximum there.
Je sais pas.
But it's a new maximum.
Yeah, he doesn't quite know what to say, does he?
En préparation et puis rien lâcher, faire à fond tout le temps.
Une base la plus forte, c'est ça en fait là.
Là, maintenant c'est ça, c'est vous quoi. C'est ça qui est énorme.
Parce que c'était ton premier tour. Il y a plein de choses.
Ah bah ouais, j'en ai découvert un paquet de choses, ça c'est sûr, mais et je découvre mes arrivées. Je crois que c'est ce qui surprend le plus. Ah ouais, c'est une chose. Je sais pas s'il faut trouver une raison, pourquoi on y va. Ce qui est sûr, c'est que énormément.
Just saying there's no one reason why he's won. It's down to a number of different things, I think.
Un truc que j'ai dans la tête depuis toujours, mais j'ai toujours envie de progresser, j'ai toujours envie d'être un peu meilleur et je pense qu'après Vendée Globe, je suis un peu meilleur.
Ce bateau là, j'imagine que ça va être difficile pour le laisser.
C'est sûr.
Il n'y a pas des moments où il a failli plaquer quand même?
Il a été sacrément fidèle, ouais, parce que moi il y a des moments où je vais me reposer et lui il ne sait pas beaucoup reposer. Hein. Et quand on déboule à pleine vitesse, imaginez ce qui se passe sur le pont. C'est hallucinant, pendant 78 jours, c'est assez rare qu'il n'y ait pas eu d'eau qui coule sur le pont, quoi. Ça s'est jamais arrêté.
I think he's talking about the similar things he was saying earlier to us when he was on the boat of just never being able to stop, and being overwhelmed by the enormous reception.
Saying that goes all the time.
T'as mis une grosse pression. Ah bah ouais. J'ai envie de lui dire merci parce qu'on a vécu tous les deux. Je pense que c'est exceptionnel pour un compétiteur, c'est exceptionnel d'avoir pu vivre ça. Et c'est grâce à lui que j'ai pu vivre ça. Il n'y aurait pas eu Armel, la course aurait été différente, il n'y aurait pas eu... il n'y aurait pas toute l'intensité qu'il y a là, quoi. Là, ce que j'ai vécu, là, j'ai...
He's just talking about what an exceptional competitor.
He didn't really expect the intensity to be so great. That's just the medium. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, some professional detachment gets lost, even by the media of the Republic of France at the end of races like this. It's difficult not to get swept up in it.
Can't quite believe what's happening.
No, I don't believe that. I was just here 4 years ago with Michel, and I know what's the arrival of Vendée Globe, but I'm
With
so surprised.
Shirley Robertson at CNN.
I don't know why, but it's crazy. And for sure, this moment, the last hour I just live is incredible.
The youngest and the fastest man around the planet. That sounds good.
Yeah. I don't think I realized it. Just for me, just the fact to do it, just to go around the world and to manage to finish this race, it's already wonderful. And to be first is just, I don't know yet what is it, but it's too much.
Too much, it's incredible. Both your family, the nation, everyone is so proud. So proud.
I'm proud also. I'm proud of me, that's good.
You should be, enjoy it all. Congratulations.
Thanks.
One like English with a live feed. Just talk about your feelings going down the canal.
That's incredible, and I don't know how to describe it. I just there's all the pressure of the race to just go out, and you have all of these people. I was not expecting for this, you know. And I knew that there will be people, but I didn't think there will be so much. I'm surprised. I'm so surprised. Thanks.
François, il y a 4 ans et demi, tu me disais que tu en rêvais de ce Vendée. En direct pour France 3 à la télé, ça y est, tu y es.
Bah ouais, j'ai genre rêvé. Il y a 4 ans, j'étais là, j'étais juste à côté de Foncia. Et
Saying it was on 4 years ago, he was with Foncia. This is the dream come true since then.
Je disais bien que j'arriverais d'être sur le Vendée un jour, mais je pensais pas que je serais là en premier.
Dis-nous tout à l'heure, quand tu rentres dans le chenal, quand Michel arrive, moment énorme.
Ouais. Bah ouais, parce que c'est grâce à lui quoi que je suis là.
So I think he'll enjoy this moment, and he'll come up the pontoon and join us in the press conference. Quite often he'll have his just before that he'll get his first proper meal. depending on his choice of timing. But
they send. I saw the forms, and they have to choose their favourite meal. Their one favourite meal is almost like an interview question. What's your favourite meal? And they make it for the skipper on the way back, and they choose their song for going up onto the podium. So
well, we know that Armel's having steak and chips, isn't he? And I think Francois having fresh salmon, amongst other things. Some red wine.
I'm sure it will taste, whatever it is, it will taste a lot better than the end of his freeze-dried food that I'm sure he's on. Even if he's been a day quicker than the designers said, he'll have eaten, in common with many of them, he'll have eaten the best stuff by the South Atlantic, probably. So 78 days, 2 hours, 16 minutes and 40 seconds around the globe. 28,646.55 miles at a speed of 15.3 knots. The youngest and fastest man ever to sail solo around the world on one of these boats. It's an extraordinary achievement.
It's nice he's taking the time to see everybody.
Ellen said something very interesting. Ellen MacArthur said something very interesting that people who she'd known before the race dropped out of contact for a little bit because they felt that she wouldn't have time for them anymore, and she made a point of ringing them up when she got home, and she said nearly all of them sounded surprised that she'd called them. Yeah. And I'm sure that Francois is that kind of character too. I mean, there have been people that have been with him from the start, and there'll be lots of new friends, but
it's Yannick Perrigo who runs there's
lots of old friends there. That's the full team, including all the communication staff as well, who've been regular touch, and that's one thing that Francois has been amazing at, just communicating this journey as well.
The Mère Agité, there's Jean-Paul Roux there.
And there's some kisses there. That's Sébastien Gladue kissing. I'm not sure who that is, but he's the big guy kneeling down there in the middle. And they call him the young one because he's the youngest man on the team. That's his nickname at Massif.
Certainly he's not going anywhere very quickly at the moment, is he? He's enjoying his time here, and as well he might.
Et Monsieur André, il est par là ou pas? Monsieur André, Monsieur André.
Voilà, allez-y, profitez-en.
It's incredible to think after 78 days that in only a few hours we're going to be welcoming Armel back to similar scenes, and an also incredible achievement. You know, he will have wanted first place, but you don't come second by accident either, do you, Andy?
You don't, and two back-to-back seconds is a remarkable achievement in this particular race. Obviously, Misha's won it twice, but coming second twice is a fantastic.
No one's done that, have they? Do you think it's becoming a younger man's sport, or is this just are we just watching someone just very special here?
I think inevitably it is. I think it's about having that high level of backup and the top level of program, and then having the right skipper. And I think this is, without wanting to be in any way cynical about it, but I think this is a formula, isn't it? that has really worked. And François is an exceptional sailor, an exceptional individual. But this is about project management and having all the T's crossed, all the I's dotted.
If you've ever had a moment in your life when you're flushed with emotion and almost unable to speak, and times it by 1,000 and you're feeling like François Gabart is right now. It's almost that feeling of being slightly winded, I imagine. It's just...
Indeed, I think in some ways it's quite nice to get the pontoon interviews done, because they allow him to focus in a kind of relatively gentle way before coming into the press conference, when it's that bit more intense and you do actually have to start reliving the race and the small details. And this is, you know, as we all know, this is about the first impressions, this is about the sound bites, and it's always insightful, I think, as well, when the skippers do come onto the rostrum and do the press conferences, to see how they remember the different stages of the race. And some skippers come in and can remember very, very little. They can just remember the big picture, and some skippers come in and can remember wind angles in particular stages and you know, weather patterns that have been critical.
Merci.
But it's a fantastic result, of course, for the Vendée Globe and the Mocha class as well. The poster boy coming good. They have a figurehead which will appear to appeal to a younger generation. And he sets a few female hearts aflutter, doesn't he? Doesn't he?
I think he'll set. He he's the son you'd want to have. He has all of those qualities, as you say, that will take the race into parts of France, parts of the world where it perhaps wouldn't go with every skipper. He's certainly that bright young face of a new generation, and he's shown there's a lot of life in the Vendée Globe. He will be an enormous star, almost whether he wants to be or not. He won't necessarily be someone that here we can see the crush. This is what all of the skippers talk about, this sudden crush on the pontoon, and having bodyguards having to muscle you up as the press and then the public fight for your attention. It's suddenly a shock. We can see Bruno Retailleau, the president of the Vendée.
If you've been alone at sea for 77, 78 days and suddenly you're into this, that's quite intimidating, isn't it? Just you know, 2 or 3 minutes as you get up there onto the stage, blinking, and there's another crowd waiting for your words of wisdom.
He hasn't got
even Bruno Retailleau there, the president,
is the bodyguard.
Is the bodyguard. He is Kevin Costner.
It's and there's Denny Aroa, the race director, on the left there, and here he comes. And he said something interesting, didn't he, about he knew that the crowds would be here, but he somehow didn't expect them. And it's the one part that Massif couldn't really prepare him for. And
no,
he's handling it well. He's handling it well at the moment, and he's been a fantastic communicator through the race, which I think is another reason why it's obviously a great thing for him, but a great thing for the race.
It is indeed. I mean, the one thing that you kind of start to wonder is, you have all this all goes on into the small hours of the morning, and then you go home to bed. What's that moment like? Although he's got his wife, of course.
Well, I wonder if he'll be able to sleep. People talk about some people talk about not being able to sleep, and they continue waking up in 20-minute snatches, often through the next few days.
Je suis en train de me dire, je pensais pas qu'en faisant du bateau, on peut arriver à ça.
J'ai plus l'impression de faire de la musique, là, d'être une rockstar quand je vois tous ces gens-là, mais...
Just saying what happened to his music.
C'est extraordinaire, hein.
Est-ce que ce partage avec le public que vous avez eu pendant toute la course, est-ce que ça vous a donné de l'énergie pendant ces 78 jours?
Just asking if he's been given energy by the support of the
sans vous tous, je pense qu'on peut pas faire ce qu'on fait.
So it's been incredible. He's paying tribute to everybody who's followed his races and massive support around the course.
Non, parce qu'en fait, je le sais pas. Enfin, je m'en rends pas compte. Aujourd'hui, je le réalise maintenant. Je le réalise depuis 1 heure, quoi. Depuis 3 mois, on me dit c'est énorme ce qui se passe à terre, mais moi, je suis sur un bateau, je me fais mouiller la tronche et j'essaie de continuer à faire avancer, mais je me rends pas compte parce qu'on peut voir des chiffres. Tant qu'on voit pas toutes les têtes.
Very lucky to be joined by another emergency translator, Sabina. Sabina's going to help us with what François is saying.
Non, je pense pas. Je pense pas.
I think François is just talking about how emotional the trip up the canal was, and then what a wonderful sponsor he's got in Massif.
On se retrouve bien là-dessus, mais faut le gérer, quoi. Faut pas en prendre trop.
Est-ce que vous avez fait alors moins de fautes peut-être que les autres, mais maintenant qu'on est entre nous, on n'est pas très nombreux là, vous pouvez peut-être nous dire si on a eu certaines qu'auraient pu vous coûter cher à un certain moment.
So the journalist is just asking him which were the difficult points of the race.
Dès le départ, est-ce que je me suis dit, même là, vers la fin de la course, quand j'ai passé le Cap Horn, dans ma tête, je me disais, je vais dérouler la tente nickel, et puis 5 minutes après, je me suis dit, François, t'es bête de dire ça.
But then I said to myself,
tu vas faire plein d'erreurs.
You can't say you're there yet. You can still make many mistakes.
Les autres, et en l'occurrence, un petit peu moins Carmel.
Et I've made mistakes, but maybe 1 or 2 less or fewer than Armand.
C'est la vie, hein. On est des
But it's
humains,
life, we're human and we all make mistakes.
De rebondir derrière,
the main thing is to bounce back and
éventuellement, si on fait la compétition, d'en faire moins que les autres.
And try and compete and basically make fewer mistakes.
Un jour, peut-être, où vous avez été tout près, peut-être pas de l'abandon, mais en tout cas de la catastrophe.
Janice is asking if he's ever felt that he was about to abandon or at his limit.
Je crois pas, mais
François is basically explaining that
c'est des bateaux qui sont compliqués, c'est des bateaux
it's always tough and there's always moments, but nothing really huge.
On n'est jamais à l'abri, quoi. Il y a des choses qui cassent sur les bateaux. Des fois, on arrive à le voir à temps, avant que ça soit grave.
Des fois, c'est trop tard.
Mais c'est compliqué. Je pense qu'on n'est jamais à l'abri pendant cette course. Ça s'arrête jamais. Il y a des bateaux, il y a plein de choses qui peuvent faire qu'en quelques secondes, ça s'arrête. Et c'est ce qui fait d'ailleurs l'intensité du truc, ce qui fait qu'aujourd'hui, je suis dans cet état d'émotion, c'est que depuis 80 jours, je sais que pour un petit détail, pour un petit rien, tout peut s'arrêter d'un coup.
Yeah, just the smallest thing can happen and then it can all be over. So you have that in your head
jusqu'à il y a 2 heures.
Right to the finish, you know, up until 2 hours ago, you're worried anything can happen.
Il peut se passer plein de choses, il peut taper quelque chose, enfin, voilà, c'est ce qui fait le Vendée Globe. C'est
anyway, this is what the Vendée is all
2
about.
secondes, tu peux passer de je navigue, je suis en tête
you can be leading to having
Dans les
to
vacations, vous avez paru et dans les vidéos, avoir le sourire, souvent être heureux, ça c'est clair pendant cette course. Est-ce que les discours encourageants que vous teniez, ça vous permettait d'être dans une dynamique finalement positive pendant toute la course? Ça vous aidait finalement?
Ouais, je sais pas. C'est vrai que je suis quelqu'un de plutôt positif dans la vie d'une manière générale et.
François thinks he's generally a positive person in life.
Et ouais, peut-être que ça aide.
On the competition side, it was nice getting all the encouragement from the public and friends.
En général, les ennuis ils restent avec toi.
But anyway, I try and keep any complications I have to myself. You don't want to send over those messages.
Toujours là, mais tu les vois pas, quoi.
Alors on a parlé d'une petite botte secrète que vous auriez, une voile d'avant assez particulière, c'est ce qui s'est dit en tout cas à terre, qui vous aurait permis à un moment donné d'aller un petit peu plus vite que les autres dans le sud de l'Australie. Vous pouvez nous en dire un peu plus sur cette voile ou pas? Est-ce qu'il y en avait?
Je l'avais il y a 4 heures, je l'avais encore. Ouais, c'est une bonne voile. Après, je pense que la philosophie de cette voile, c'était en effet d'aller vite dans le sud. Mais c'était aussi de préserver d'autres voiles pour l'Atlantique. Et en l'occurrence, la fameuse voile, c'est-à-dire le J2, la trinquette, enfin la voile qui est roulée, qui est juste là. Après le Cap Horn, elle s'est déchirée, alors que je l'avais quasiment pas utilisée de toutes les mers du Sud. Elle s'est déchirée, pas beaucoup, mais un petit peu. J'ai réussi à la réparer, et puis derrière, je m'en suis servi pendant 15 jours. Et ça a bien marché, mais je ne sais pas ce que ça aurait donné si je l'avais utilisé pendant toutes les mers du Sud.
Est-ce que vous avez navigué à l'instinct par moment, ou c'était d'une rigueur assez scientifique pendant tous les 78 jours?
Bah, c'est tout le temps à l'instinct, tout le temps.
Ouais.
Enfin, on passe de la navigation complètement intuitive, instinctive, à une approche qui est forcément rationnelle, objective, cartésienne.
And then
le marin, en fait,
and then also you have to use your navigational equipment
c'est ça que
and
j'adore, je trouve
analyze
ça
all the
génial
time.
parce qu'en fait, je pense qu'il n'y a pas beaucoup
It's a
de
nice
métiers dans le
combination
monde
where you can
on
use
est
both
capable
things.
d'avoir
Not many jobs in life allow you to use these two forms of extreme
il y a des artistes, enfin si je fais la caricature, il y a des artistes,
analysis for competing.
Il y a des scientifiques d'autre côté et les marins, on a la chance de faire un peu de tout.
Il y a eu des moments tranquilles ou pas pendant ce Vendée Globe? Non.
Rien du tout.
Rien.
François saying is he didn't have any quiet moments on the race.
Surpris, c'est ça. C'est que
that's what the most surprising thing was really. Never a moment.
Peut-être ce matin, éventuellement, mais encore, je sais pas.
Ouais.
C'est
nerveusement, ça a dû être très très dur quand même psychologiquement. Parce qu'avec la pression d'Armel tout le temps derrière.
C'est là que ça se joue, quoi.
Ouais.
Psychologically, you're saying it was so intense.
C'est mon job et j'étais là pour être à fond pendant 3 mois, avoir la pression pendant 3 mois et
constant pressure
rien lâcher pendant 3 mois et c'est ce que j'ai fait.
Le professeur Michel Desjoyeaux vous avait dit avant de partir, François, tu auras une emberde par jour. Est-ce que ça s'est vérifié?
Tout dépend ce qu'on définit comme emmerde.
So the journalist was just saying that Michel told François before he left, you're going to have at least one big problem a day.
J'en ai eu au moins 78, ouais.
And I think I probably did have 78 issues to handle and deal with.
J'ai eu la chance, ça s'est à peu près réparti, elles sont pas tous arrivées la même journée.
Thankfully they were spread out and they weren't all on one day.
Quand t'as rien pendant 10 jours, tu dis oulala. Là, ça sent pas bon parce que.
So when you go through 10 days without anything, you think, oh no, something's going to come.
J'ai eu de la réussite, de la chance et
I was very lucky and
pour que toutes ces emmerdes, je puisse y faire face et puis elles n'arrivent pas toutes au même moment.
Est-ce que vous disiez un peu tout à l'heure dans votre bateau que vous étiez découvert des forces un peu insoupçonnées? Est-ce que c'est justement quand on est comme ça dans l'inconfort, qu'on est poussé dans ces retranchements, qu'on découvre que finalement à terre on utilise assez peu de son potentiel?
Bah ouais, complètement. C'est vraiment ce que j'ai découvert. Alors c'est un peu dommage d'être obligé de se faire mal pour découvrir tout ça, mais voilà, quelque part je crois que c'est le privilège que les Vendée Globistes ont, c'est que on est vraiment poussé dans nos derniers retranchements, on n'a pas le choix en fait, on est obligé de faire face. Je ne sais même pas s'il y a du courage parce que finalement t'es dans des situations où soit tu fais les choses, soit tu les... Enfin, tu peux pas ne pas les faire, tu es obligé d'aller chercher ça au fond de toi et c'est chouette parce que tu découvres plein de choses, ouais. Que évidemment dans la vie de tous les jours, je suis incapable d'aller chercher tout ça.
Et vous disiez il y a 2 jours, je suis devenu un peu meilleur qu'avant. Ça veut dire quoi pour vous?
Ça veut dire que je sais plein de choses justement sur moi, sur ce que j'ai au fond de moi, ce que je suis capable d'aller chercher. Et ça, je pense que c'est bien, c'est de l'expérience, c'est quelque chose qui me servira toute ma vie.
Ça a été dur de vous séparer de votre bateau, là, de le quitter alors que vous avez fait qu'un pendant 78 jours. C'était vraiment ça.
J'en suis fier, je suis vraiment content et heureux de ce bateau parce que il m'a sacrément bien accompagné pendant 3 mois. Moi j'ai eu la chance de pouvoir me reposer de temps en temps, mais lui jamais.
And he says that my boat was always there. I was able to rest a little bit every now and then, but the boat was always there.
Ça vous émeut
complètement.
C'est lui qui vous a préservé aussi, quoi.
C'est lui qui te protège et c'est lui qui fait que tu arrives jusqu'au bout, quoi.
But it was the boat that brought him here and safely, so I think he's thanking his boat.
I think we can see the tears coming there when he was almost coming when he was talking about the boat there and the bonds that you develop with your boat during the course, if not long before, but especially if you arrive home with it, is incredible. And it's clear that
c'est le rêve de gosse qui se réalise vraiment parce que vous finissez
when questioned about the boat, and he'll be looking at it in the pontoon as he heads into the press conference shortly.
Les Sables d'Olonne, dit Louis Guédon. Ouais.
Je sais pas, mais y a quand même un sacré paquet de raisons pour revenir. Ouais. Parce que ce qu'on vit, c'est exceptionnel et
François is just saying that although it's tough to get off the boat, you do want to get off when you get here. It's a privilege, and it's an honor to come back here and see all these people welcome him.
C'est tôt un peu. Vous avez envie qu'il revienne?
Faut que je souffle.
And then asked if he'll compete on the next one. So give me some time. I need to catch my breath.
Tu voulais dire un mot? Vous voulez dire un mot peut-être, Madame le ministre?
And that's Minister of Sport for France.
Beaucoup d'admiration.
Who's saying how emotional it's been and congratulating François. And she says that François epitomizes youth and sport. So
Michel Desjoyeaux, qui est le plus jeune sur l'eau, c'était sa première édition. Franchement, un formidable champion.
A wonderful champion for a first-time participant.
Du Vendée Globe en France et bien au-delà. Et vraiment,
just in France and for everyone, what an example.
Vraiment un chemin extraordinaire et on montre aussi que la voile en France, un savoir-faire extraordinaire, architecte, chantier naval.
And highlights just how much this does for France and sailing.
Une grande satisfaction pour nous tous et puis pour aussi la formation à Port-la-Forêt, tu as aussi, je veux dire, ce chemin que tu as parcouru.
And reviews a little bit of François' history and saying that he's had a wonderful training in the Port-la-Forêt and just thanking him for giving France a champion, I suppose.
François, tu nous l'as dit, tu t'es fait mal, tu as souffert pour nous donner des rêves, des beaux rêves.
Bruno Retailleau is the president of the Sables Vendée.
Pour tout cela, je voudrais te remercier au nom des Vendéens, mais aussi au nom de tous les amoureux du Vendée Globe, tous les amoureux de la voile. Ce que tu as fait est fantastique. Même Jules Verne n'avait pas osé l'imaginer. Tu es désormais rentré dans la légende du Vendée Globe, dans la légende aussi de l'histoire nautique de France et du monde. Avant, il y avait un Gabart qui était un skipper. Désormais, Gabart, c'est le nom d'une étoile qui brille très haut dans le ciel, au-dessus des océans. Alors on peut le remercier et au nom du Vendée Globe,
and on behalf of the Vendée Globe, we'd like to say thank you and well done. And all your skippers here who've won before are here, Titan Lamazou, Michel Desjoyeaux, Alain Gauthier, and all the people here, well done.
Pour François et le Vendée Globe, hip hip hip. Et on pense aussi aux skippers qui ont dû abandonner et qui souffrent. Leur souffrance,
Retailleau just says we also think about those skippers who had to abandon and those still at sea.
François Gabart, premier vainqueur donc du Vendée Globe 7 de ce 7e édition. Merci François, vous laissez retrouver un peu vos proches pendant quelques instants. Le président de Massif, vous voulez dire un mot? Je vous en prie, vous vouliez dire un mot pour féliciter votre poulain. Vous ne regrettez pas d'avoir misé sur lui?
Écoutez, que dire aujourd'hui, puisque qui n'a été dit, puis je n'ai pas la verve du sénateur. Le Vendée Globe,
there's not much more I can say. I think everything's been said, but what a beautiful story.
Sauf que cette fois-ci, c'est la nôtre.
And it's our story this time.
On va la partager. Quand je vois tous les salariés, tous les délégués qui sont dans la salle,
seeing all of you here who've been supporting François throughout this race is wonderful. And these are moments that will rest forever.
Je tiens à lui dire toute l'admiration qu'on a eue. Il nous a fait quelques frayeurs par moments, mais on n'a jamais eu très peur. On n'a jamais eu très peur. La confiance était au rendez-vous. Alors je crois qu'il n'y a simplement que de l'admiration des uns et des autres.
But admiration
comment dirais-je encore,
from all of us for
une
you.
énorme surprise parce qu'on
What
pensait bien qu'il pouvait arriver à faire un
We
très bon
thought he could
résultat.
do this, but
mais du premier coup, c'était un peu inespéré. François sera le
slightly
témoin qu'on ne lui a jamais donné
beginning.
d'objectifs.
We never set
Les objectifs,
objectives.
on les avait dans nos têtes.
We had them
Alors
in
à
our
partir de ce
heads,
soir,
and
on
that
va
was
partager
to
notre
leave well.
bonheur, on s'arrêtera
But now
là
let's all
et on
share this
réfléchira à la
wonderful
suite
moment
après.
together
Voilà,
and see
merci.
what will happen in the future.
On applaudit encore François qui reviendra tout à l'heure évidemment pour accueillir Armel, j'imagine. Il y a des beaux vainqueurs quand il y a aussi une belle concurrence comme l'a été celle de Armel tout à l'heure.
Ouais. Je veux juste dire un dernier mot et
François wanting to say one last thing, saying
il y a beaucoup de personnes à remercier, mais en tout cas déjà remercier vous tous d'être ici
first of all, all of
aujourd'hui
you
parce
for being
que
here physically.
sans vous tous la course
Because
serait
without you here, the race
pas ce qu'elle est.
wouldn't be what it is.
Et remercier tous les autres concurrents.
And thank you also to all the other competitors.
Sans eux aussi, la victoire, elle sert à rien.
Because the victory
Armel, évidemment, parce
wouldn't mean anything without
il m'a fait vivre
competitors.
quelque chose d'exceptionnel, mais
Armel
aussi
really
à
pushed
tous
me
les
and
autres.
let me live something
Ceux qui sont
amazing.
arrêtés un peu trop tôt, malheureusement. Mais voilà, c'est cette émotion qu'on a quand on coupe la ligne, parce qu'on sait qu'on n'a pas rien cassé. Quelque part, c'est mis en exergue par toutes les personnes qui, eux, ont cassé. Donc,
and especially
voilà,
emotional
je pense à eux
when
aussi.
I was lucky not to break anything, but I think about
Merci,
everyone
François.
that did break things and were not able to complete the race.
So enormous thanks to Sabina Moller-Rogerson for translating so expertly there. And another emergency translator after Guillaume Verdier from VPLP flew in. Sabina, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
And we heard some of the emotion from François there, talking about his boat.